Okay, it's time to get back to work on 3 Sisters, 1 Fro. It's now at the part where it's what they refer to as leather hard. The clay is still soft, it's still very pliable, but it's not out of the bag soft. So it's just gotten the cover, the plastic cover that I put on at night, removed from it. So, you know, that helps contain the moisture. But it's still, you know, like if I were to press into it, well, I don't want to have to refill that. I was about to say if I press into this, let me try to press into an area of her that I know might get scraped away. Right there. Can you see the indentation that I just made? Smoothing that out. So anyway, that's just to show you how soft the clay is. This is the wire tool that I'm pulling out. It has these holders at each end. And what I'm going to do is sort of plan to cut. Let me use this as a pointer tool. I'm going to plan to make a cut from here all the way through. So you sort of have to try to set it up. I usually try to put both holders in my hand, keep a loop of the wire at the other end so that I know when I get ready to slice and pull through that this is going to be even and this will use as traction. So here's the part that's going to be behind the sculpture. This is the part that's going to be in front. This allows me to pull forward evenly. So I'm just placing the wire right now so that I can make the cut. I'm sliding it underneath so I can get to where I need to be, and just doing that with a little bit of back and forth sawing motion inward. And as you can see, I already sliced into the clay by mistake just doing that maneuver, and that's no problem. Again, it's very soft, very pliable. Just put it back. So now I'm trying to even up the 2 holders so that I can pull it one time, so I'm going to have to just yank and do some adjusting right here. All right, I think that's just about where I want to go. So because this wire can slip down, I'm just holding it in place with my fingernail right here at the base of her backside so that I can guide it and it doesn't slip below my fingernail. Okay, so now it's in there. It's embedded into the clay. I'm holding onto the platform with one hand and just pulling forward. And I'm pulling down a little bit because I don't want to slice up into the underside of the clay. So what's going on is basically happening off camera and you can't see it, but just know that it's happening. I made that slice, it immediately fell off, and that's great. Sorry. So it's going to go right back into place like that once I'm done. So I'm just moving that slice off, putting it to the side, and now, if you remember, and you've been with me through this journey, we're going to take that needle tool and just trace out a wall that we're not going to go beyond while hollowing. So there you go. I'm making this wall width a little thicker than I normally do. And that's fine. I don't think I'll leave any real areas of vulnerability. This bottom part, I'm leaving a thicker wall. And there. That slice has been made. And now it's time to get to hollowing. You guys know I usually bounce between this loop tool, this size, and this loop tool, the larger size, and this loop tool, which is triangular. I'm going to go in with the round part first. Putting the pieces of clay that I collect from the hollowing just off to the side. And as usual, this part is self-explanatory, and I don't need to talk you through this, so I hush now. Now remember, as you're hollowing, you're still following the shape of your objects. So even though this interior barrier of the wall stops here, she extends out deep. So I know that when I'm hollowing, I can position this tool at an angle so that I can go in and get a little closer to this back wall. I'm not trying to go far beyond this width of the wall, but as I get closer to the center, if I stop right here, let's say, there's still a little area that I can take out from there. So I just angle it a little bit. You know, you're trying to keep some consistency to the wall width all throughout, because if you've got areas that are too thin, well, not too thin, I don't want to say too. if you have areas of your sculpture that are more thin and delicate, they dry more quickly than the thicker areas. And that's what causes breaks and cracks, from what I understand, is that very sharp difference between a thin area and then something that's really fortified with clay. So you're trying to make it as uniform as possible throughout. Now, of course, you can imagine it's not all the time that you can do that. So, you know, you just sort of cross your fingers. So I'm going up and in, and I'm curving the tool around, so I'm doing a U-turn motion or a scooping motion so that I don't keep pushing forward and too deeply in. That's going to allow me or cause me to end up running into this. So I'm basically just, you know, gauging it the best I can, and eventually I'll go and I'll test it to see how far I'm going in. And you're testing using your hand. You just get to feel in there, and I can feel the thickness of the wall. It's about that much when it should be about that much. Small difference, but I'm still going to scoop in there and try to pull a little more clay out to make that difference happen. And this hollowing that I'm doing is going in so deep that it's just going to meet the other side, because I have to do the exact same thing, almost the exact same cut on the other side, and they're going to meet, and this entire area is going to be hollowed out from side to side. So I'm going to make that same cut right here, go in, and by the time I go in deep enough, I'm going to feel it give way, because boom, I've punched through to open the area. And that is perfect. That's exactly what I want. I have to make sure I'm not going up too high in here, because this is on a slant. So it's getting a little thinner down to this end, and I don't want to keep going in at a straight angle, because eventually I'll make this upper wall a little too thick. And it might not make a difference because the hand is here, but still, these are the things that I try to pay attention to. What I'm doing right now is using this tool to scrape along this bottom floor, and in doing so, I'm compacting the clay. It's already being held firmly underneath. That bottom part I don't have to worry about directly underneath. So what I'm doing by pressing down is simply compacting, going back to what you guys probably recognize as my favorite tool for some reason, the wooden tool with the shallow concave. So I'm just taking this and pressing, compacting this clay on the inside, hoping that I'm getting rid of any air pockets, because that contributes to explosions, that contributes to cracking. So you want to make sure that your clay is compressed and those particles are right up against each other, flowing together beautifully with no gaps. So that's what just happened here. So we hollowed out this side. Now, we're going to take the part that's going to be rejoined and reunited with it, and we take that needle tool and the same pinky width or pinky nail width, just drag that around the edges. As you get to thinner parts, this part is much thinner. You're not going to go out as far, because I'm not going to hollow this out. It's already the thickness I want. So you just pull it in a little, and as you work with your clay and as you work with the pieces you're creating, you'll know exactly when to make that call. It's just going to come with time and practice, and you're going to do really wonderfully. So because this part is a little more narrow, I'm bracing it up against my fingers, and I'm scraping lightly right now. Now this video is going to be edited, and it will end up sped up, but because I just woke up and haven't been talking to anyone, I probably have the melody and cadence of DMX. Because, yeah, the voice is mad rough in the mornings. It is what it is. So it's going to be interesting to hear how I sound on this one, because my voice sounds impossibly deep to me right now. But like I said, the editing, that's going to fix that a little bit. I hush now. Okay, it's that time. So we've hollowed this out. I'm going to show you how far by using the tool as a bit of a gauge. Went right to about there. 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 Right to about there. So some nice deep hollowing done of that area. And now, as you know, if you've been following this journey, I repeat myself on every video because I don't know where you're starting. I don't know if this is the first video of mine you're seeing or the 7th. But this is the serrated edge tool with the little teeth. You see it? And you just use a cross-hatching technique, which means different directions. Taking the top plate off of the slip that holds all my tools. See, y'all should be proud of me. I'm not doing it backwards like I did it yesterday where I removed the tools first, then took off the plate and put the tools back and then realized that, yeah, my common sense is a true issue. I don't have any. I just hit it with 2 sprays of water and I'm just mixing it up. Still keeping it that same thick consistency that I've been working with lately. I guess you would consider this consistency more like a nice rich pudding than the heavy cream consistency I was keeping it at before. So I use the back of the tool to apply the slip. And I apply it nice and thick. I tap because I'm not trying to flatten out the texture, because this slip is going to connect these 2 pieces. And you want to make sure this slip has something almost interlocking to hold on to, so that that's happening.